Hey guys, I've got the super coolest, most amazing video for you guys today, as always, right? By the way, DPG, hackhollywood.com, hackbollywood.in. So I was having a conversation with my significant other, and we were talking about a job prospect that she had, and it was a job that sounded pretty good. And we were talking about negotiating it, and she was talking about she had a call with a recruiter, right? And the recruiter is doing what recruiters do, which is, you know, they're screening. She's being screened essentially, like, you know, can you do this? Can you do that? Etc. And she works at a high level for big corporations. And you know, it's funny the way people talk to each other. It's very self-centered, like in many instances. And if we could get away from that, we would all be helping ourselves, right? If you think of the other person first, rather than just yourself, and you ask questions that you think will be helpful for the other person, they will open up to you so much more. Whereas if you put them on the spot and ask them questions that try to pin them down and get them to say something so that they can't go back on it later, it becomes like a very contentious, hostile type of negotiation, and nobody's really happy in the end, right? Like, you don't like them, and, you know, they already act like they don't like you because they're asking you all these questions because they want to pay you the least, or they want to reward you the least, or whatever it is. And so one of the questions that got asked in this interview with the recruiter, and it's amazing how these people stay in business, which goes to show, if you want to become successful, you don't have to do much. The bar is set really low for most things. And, you know, even if people think they're at the top of their game, they're not at the top of their game because they don't even think about the game they're playing. They just play the game that has been played, and they don't bother trying to improve upon it. So the question of money came up, and the other question that came up was location. Because obviously this little game is pay employees the least, right? So, and also waste as little of my time as possible. So if I find out you get paid this amount now, I'm going to assume you won't work for less than that, or, you know, not much less than that. And location, well, the location of this job is in this place. So, you know, I'm going to assume if you don't already live there, maybe you're not going to move there. So I don't want to waste my time if you already tell me, you know, you won't work for this, or I'm not even going to ask you if you will work for it or not. I'm going to make the assumption by asking how much you make now, that if you say you make way more than this job would pay, I'm going to assume you won't want to take it, and I'm just going to dismiss you, right? You don't even actually let people answer for themselves. So in the process of this negotiation, or this conversation that I had with my girlfriend after, my SO, significant other, I said, okay, so they asked you a bunch of questions. Did you answer them? No. Okay, good. And she's like, but I know I'm going to have to. And I said, why do you have to? Well, because I don't want it to be a waste of their time. And I'm like, why are you worried about wasting their time? Shouldn't you be worried about your time? And how do you make the most out of your time? Let them worry about what value their time is. How could you even possibly know what is a waste of their time or not? And this is what happens with people. We get ideas. These ideas cause us to make assumptions. And you know what happens with assumptions, right? Don't make assumptions, because it will make an ass, A-S-S, out of you and me. Assume, never assume. And the way to not assume is to never get ideas in your head, because an assumption comes from an idea. So don't think that you know the answer or why people are doing things. That's their responsibility. If everybody acted according to what their own best interests were, but in a nice, friendly manner, then it would be transparent. You would say, well, let's hear about the job first. Okay, it sounds interesting. And they're going, what do you get paid? What do you get paid? And I said, it's none of their business what you get paid now. They may want to know, but they have no inherent right to know what you get paid now. And in particular, you don't want them to know what you get paid now, because you know they're asking because they have ideas in their head about what you are going to do if they find out you get paid less than this job pays, right? They're getting ideas and they're making assumptions, therefore making asses of themselves and you, because they'll blow it for both of you if you answer their questions. They will literally blow it for both of you. So, location is the same thing. Where do you live now? This job is here. Would you relocate, right? I say, don't answer that either. I said, all you want to be doing is selling yourself. Meaning, if this is a job that on some level you are interested in, then all you want to get to is to the point where you get to make a decision based on the best possible circumstances, the best possible offer. But you come up with the best possible offer for yourself, and then you will present it to them, at which point they haven't had to retrace all of the steps they have made, like it pays this, it needs to be located here, and all that stuff. Because the COVID-19 virus proved to everyone that location is meaningless, okay? Maybe that works in the restaurant business, but it doesn't work in the employment business in general, right? You don't have to be in an office surrounded by people. You can get your job done from a lot of different places. Because if you're working from home, that means you can work from your home anywhere on the planet that has internet service, right? So I said, and you can just leverage this into whatever scenarios occur in your own life. If they ask you a question that you think is trying to put you into a corner, just ignore it. This is what politicians do. They answer the question that they wish was asked, not the one that was asked, right? So like, what is your stance on legalizing marijuana? They'll just go, well, I think marijuana is a really interesting topic and it really benefits a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And, I think in the near future, we're going to look back on marijuana as the way we did with alcohol or something like that, right? And the person says, well, you haven't answered the question yet. And they go, well, thank you very much for having me on the show, Jane. I will talk to you later, right? And eventually the person asking the question, they're not going to embarrass themselves and go, answer the question. They're just going to go, I guess they're not going to answer the question, right? So this is a very valuable tool to hear and see the world the way you want to, shape the world the way you want to, and don't feel apologetic about it, because if you get yourself in a scenario where you're not happy, then you're going to probably leave, right? So if you can create the scenario whereby which you would be happy, and then you can get them to agree with it by giving them the right reasons to accept your proposals, they'll be happy too. Win-win. And that's what you should always be going for. So when somebody asks you, how much money do you make now? I mean, really, that's irrelevant, because they're just assuming that you wouldn't work for less. But maybe you want to work somewhere else, like in a different part of the country, right? If you live in New York City, you're going to get paid a lot more than if you live in, Oklahoma City, because of the cost of living. They know that people cannot live in New York City below a certain pay, but if you're in Oklahoma, then you could probably live for less and you'd be willing to work for less. Same with location. Unless the job requires you to literally be present in that location for some unknown reason, which I will tell you right now, for my significant other's point of view, there is no particular reason she needs to be at this location, especially all the time. And she would be within a couple of hours maximum of getting there, either by plane or what other method, right? So there's no circumstance under which she would ever have to get there by emergency. She doesn't deal with emergencies, okay? She deals with global organizational issues that take time to develop and then take time to roll out. So I just said, look, hear out the offer, ask all of the questions you can think of about this job, what the job entails, who you'll be working with. Maybe you can even talk to the people you might be working with, because why do you want to just talk to the recruiter? You're not going to be working with the recruiter. You want to talk to the people you might be working with and see if there's some simpatico, okay? And then when you have all the cards on the table and you go, yeah, I would consider this job, then you can address these issues, because obviously compensation has to be addressed and location has to be addressed. But there's no need for you to talk about certain things until you decide that they are relevant to you. Who cares what's relevant to them? It's irrelevant to you what's relevant to them, okay? Unless they say, we're not going to go forward, without talking about compensation, at which point I would go, well, I don't want to work for your company because you're trying to bully me, right? And, you know, you're not paying me right now, so you don't get to tell me what to do. So I would just say, when the time comes, you go, okay, you know, what is your offer? Not what does the job pay? What is your offer? And look, they're going to offer you the least possible, because why wouldn't they? Then you say, well, I was thinking more like this, plus this amount of vacation, blah, 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 blah. And I already had her go through this negotiation where they didn't lay her off. They kept her around, but they were going to give her a package. And I was like, you know, if you're going to go back to work, and they obviously want you back because they didn't lay you off like everybody else, then ask for more vacation. If they can't give you more money, ask for more vacation. It doesn't cost them anything. Okay, I'll try it. Bingo, extra week of vacation, right? Which is worth so much more than just cash. It's freedom, plus the cash that you would have got when you worked. So that's what I would do with the money side of things. And as far as location, I would go, well, tell me about the job. Right, so if there was COVID-19 when and I was working there, what would I have done? Would I have kept the job? Would you have kept me on? Yeah. Okay, great. So I would have been working from where? From home. Okay, so I could do this job from home if you had to. So if my home was Hawaii, I could do the job from there, right? That's not really what we had in mind. That's not what I asked you. Well, theoretically. Okay, here's what I propose. You want me to be on location, right? Why is that? Well, you know, we want you to have face-to-face, rah, 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 you know, rally the troops and all that. I get it, fine. Am I rallying the troops every day? No. Okay. What about I spend 2 weeks at a location of my choosing within a 2-hour flight of here, and I spend 2 weeks on location, you know, at the location. What about that? And of course, you pay for my transportation back and forth. Does that work? What are they going to say? If they really value you as an employee, like they really want you, they're definitely going to consider it. Does that sound like a deal breaker when they already admitted that you would be working from home on the internet if there was COVID-19? Probably not a deal breaker anymore. It might have been before, because, you know, if you had to convince them that you could work from home, of course, nobody can deal with changing their minds about that. No, you have to be at the office. But now the office it's fake. It's fake news. So there you go. There's just two things you could think about when you are dealing with situations where there's a negotiation. And what it means is, don't answer questions just because someone asked you the question, just because you're scared of not getting the opportunity. If you know you have something of value to offer, which hopefully you're in the situation because you have something of value to offer, then you have a lot of leverage in the negotiation part of it. And you can just say, I don't want to talk about money. Who cares about money? This to me is not about money. This is about happiness, joy, effectiveness, being in a company that I, think does good work, etc. Money, of course, is of concern eventually, but I don't need to answer the question about money before I have a job offer, right? I might almost say I'd do the job for free if it was that good. So there's that, and then the other thing is whatever else. If it's location, perks, like if it's an acting job, the size of your trailer, getting a pickup, all of these things are all negotiable. But you have to establish your value first. And the way to establish your value first is not worrying about what they're going to give you, is worrying about what you're going to give them. So you want to sell them on you. And once they've bought the idea of you, then they're going to sell you on them. Okay, and that's when they'll tell you, oh, we really want you for this. And you go, not so fast. What does it pay? That's not enough. I want this. Okay, we'll give you the money. Okay, let's talk about transportation, accommodation. I want to stay at this hotel. I want this size trailer. I want this kind of food, right? And they'll all be like, okay, what do they care? It's $50 more for the hotel you want. It's, $50 more to pay for a pickup at your residence instead of having to get there yourself. You want special food? What's that cost them? $50? If it's a multi-million dollar project and you're so special that they want you for this acting job, do you not think they'll give it to you, even though they're going to tell you they won't? And so will your agent tell you they won't. That's why you got to know this stuff. That's why you got to listen to D, the P to the G. Mother. All right, guys, let me know what you think. So much value. That's the value I bring, okay? That's why I know people will pay me, because I know what I bring to the table. Where are you going to hear this? Well, who else is going to tell you this stuff? Nobody. That's right. Come to me. Come to me. I will talk to you soon.